Welcome to this BCStrategies React video. I'm joined by a number of BCStrategies experts. If you're not familiar with the Business Communication Strategies Group, we are a group of independent and elite analysts, consultants, and thought leaders. Today, I'm joined by Jim Burton. Why don't you give a wave, Jim?
Hey.
One of the original founders of BCStrategies. J.R. Simmons.
Hello.
Chuck Vondra. David Maldo, who is also doing this video wizardry. And of course, I'm Kevin Keeler. And so today we're going to react to the Amazon keynote from Enterprise Connect 2023. And David, why don't you roll the first clip?
All right.
We've got the Vice President of Applications at AWS, Dilip Kumar. So please welcome to the stage, Dilip.
Good morning. My name is Dilip Kumar. I know I'm the last one between you and lunch, so I'll make this quick. I lead the AWS Applications Group. The AWS Applications Group is a growing category of services that allows customers to be able to build sophisticated business applications without having to do this from scratch. Today, I'm going to be talking about our contact center and communication services. But the Applications Group has a wide array of services, everything from AWS supply chain to clean rooms, to our identity and checkout solutions like Just Walk Out and Amazon One, as well as our virtual desktop services like Amazon Workspaces and AppStream.
So obviously not surprising that Amazon is going to, talk about their contact center, but also, some of their application services. Maybe to start us off, Jim, over to you. Any initial thoughts?
Yeah, I was fortunate to be able to spend some time with Dilip at Enterprise Connect, and it was interesting because when you have a conversation with someone like him, you realize his background, how valuable it is to what they're doing in the contact center space. Because if you look at what Amazon has done, they basically, you think about the contact centers they've got globally, just taking care of all the Amazon businesses, and to be able to take that and turn it into a business product is pretty impressive. And his background, goes way back into a lot of those points. And so a lot of the things he works on, while we see it as part of Connect, there's also all the underlying things that they're doing to help their businesses and then turning that over and making it available to the enterprises. So a very, very fascinating background that he has, which I think bodes well to help them in the marketplace.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. Let's roll the next clip and then we'll get other people to chime in.
The cloud offers you the flexibility and the agility, the operational excellence and the rigor, as well as the security posture that your business demands. And sophisticated machine learning allows you to be able to get those critical insights to serve your customers. But there's another thing that's equally important: experience. There is no compression algorithm for experience. And one of the things that we've had the benefit of is having built these services that we're offering as third-party services to customers for Amazon. So we get the benefit of Amazon scale and our operational rigor, and our customers really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think he's making the point that you just made, Jim. So I'm not sure through the whole keynote, but I think that this might have been the only keynote that didn't mention AI. I think he always refers to it as machine learning. I don't know, JR, in terms of kind of that cloud and operational rigor from Amazon, any thoughts on, what Dilip was saying there?
Well, yes, and I do appreciate that he emphasizes machine learning as the core technology. I mean, in some respects, that's the counter, if you will, to there's no substitute for experience. Machines can learn so much faster than we can. But I really appreciate the fact that he emphasized that rather than artificial intelligence, because that label is, well, first of all, it's technically misleading, even though it's become a common usage, but it's really the machine learning that makes it work, that substitutes for the experience that we otherwise can't gain on our own.
Yeah, no, absolutely a good point. Chuck, anything to build on that?
Well, just real quickly to JR and Jim's point, Amazon is sort of considered the gold bar of providing customer service to their own customers. So they certainly come to the party with a lot of credibility and trust because they take care of their customers. So it's a good starting point.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good point. And I think let's go to the next clip because I think that they're going to emphasize how important contact center is to their business, but also to any of our businesses as well. So next clip, David.
The contact center is the lifeline of your company. It's the place where customers are forming an impression of your company on a daily basis, good or bad. And this can be a huge asset if used appropriately. Several years ago, people a lot smarter than me decided to use this collective experience of what we had built for Amazon and decided to offer it as a service called Amazon Connect for customers. For those of you who don't know, Amazon Connect is our cloud-based contact center. When I first saw the demo of Amazon Connect, I was blown away by how simple it was in just a few clicks to have your agent start taking calls. But what was even more remarkable was what it abstracted away. It abstracted away a fully managed global telephony network. It abstracted away sophisticated machine learning at every aspect of the process in order to make your agents productive so that they can help your customers.
I think this is interesting in this keynote because, Amazon Connect is a contact center out of the box. It's very quick to set up. And then, later in the keynote, Dilip's going to talk about kind of some of the services that you can build on and add to your own applications. I don't know, David, what did you think so far of kind of how Dilip's doing and what Amazon is, focusing on?
No, this all makes sense. And I mean, it's a great point that how could Amazon not have unique insights into customer service? How could anyone say they don't have unrivaled or uncommonly rivaled experience? Very few companies have their experience with customer service. And the point he made at the beginning, our impression of a company is the contact center. Well, it's two things. It's the product in the contact center. The product's got to be good. But if the product's good and the contact center experience is bad, I think of when I used to have a certain internet company that we've all heard of. The internet itself was fine, but it was the most hated company in the world because of the contact center. And I don't hate Amazon. I don't hate my experiences with Amazon. I don't think a lot of people do. So, hey, the whole eating your own dog food thing, except in reverse. This is their right. This is their recipe that they made for themselves that they're now sharing with the world. It makes perfect sense.
I'm trying to figure out what the reverse of eating your own dog food is.
Yeah, I don't want to go there.
Yeah, as most people know, I have a Siberian Husky, and my daughter, who lives with us right now, has a golden retriever. So I don't know, it's like barfing your own dog food. So anyway, I don't think that's what you were saying. So, okay, but let's, one of the things that I think Amazon Connect does a great job of, and this really is about a lot of, AI or machine learning, is the forecasting and capacity planning. So roll the next clip because that I think is what Dilip's going to talk about.
Another problem that companies typically face is this notion in contact centers of forecasting and capacity planning. Put simply, schedule too many agents, your utilization goes down, and it's not a good use of time and money. Schedule too few, and your service levels tank. Again, you have to be able to strike a balance, and one of the things that Connect provides is access to sophisticated machine learning-based forecasting tools that improves the accuracy of your forecast, both for long-range as well as short-range planning.
So to me, this is I think this is $27 per agent per month to do this forecasting. Obviously, if you have 5 people in your contact center, probably not required. But as you scale, this seems like a terrific ability to apply the expertise that Amazon has to your own contact center forecasting, and planning. As Dilip says, you don't want to have too many agents or too few agents. I don't know, Jim, any thoughts on this?
Well, I think in general terms, and not specifically about this, but one of the things that I find fascinating about how Amazon has evolved over the years, they started off, if you think about it, you go to some of the big customers that they have and had, And they go to them and say, well, we don't have everything you want now, but we will evolve and get more of those features and capabilities over time. And they've done an incredible job of that. If you look at the functionality they add on a regular basis, and during his presentation, he's talking about things they have now and things that they're working on and partnering with other people. It's pretty fascinating. So the business model has been incredibly good. And you think about, there's no one else that can do that. You think about any of the contact center companies that have tried it, nobody's come close to being able to deliver all that functionality that they've been able to bolt on over time. And so while maybe you could say, oh, they're missing a few features or capabilities now, first of all, they scale better than anyone else, with the exception maybe of Affinity, but they scale better than anybody else. And features and functionality, if they don't have it today, they'll have it soon. So applaud them for their business model.
But Jim, both you and Kevin mentioned the fact that it works well for the larger contact centers. And some of the other things he's already referenced, it's a great asset if used appropriately, is one of his earlier phrases. All of that makes sense, but if the contact center is a small group, it's not quite, it doesn't scale down as well as it scales up. It certainly scales up, and that's where machine learning has really helped them too, because everybody has had access before to manual reports about peak periods and everything else, but the machine learning is making it a much more accurate and a much more usable report than what we had before. So that's what excites me about AWS's ability to roll into it all this extra power into the processes that we before primarily were manual.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, JR. So let's take a look, because I think they're talking about the general availability next of step-by-step guides. But once again, this is their learning in their own customer service and now making it available. So roll the next clip, David.
Since Connect started, very simply, there have been two primary reasons for our existence. If you are a new agent, our goal is to be able to make you as productive as possible, as quickly as possible. The best way that we have learned how to do this is through this notion of step-by-step guides, where if you're a new agent, you know that what you're being guided through, you can answer and execute the customer's calls with confidence. No more guesswork. It's huge because it reduces the time it takes to be able to get a new agent to be a productive agent, and a productive agent translates into better customer satisfaction.
So clearly here's something that Amazon has learned through their own customer service, and now they're making it generally available. And a lot of times, I just got a new Dell computer. There was some issues, and I called in, and you could tell when the people kind of had a step-by-step that they're going to go through, and they knew what to do, as opposed to just asking random questions, right? So I don't know, these step-by-step guides like this seems, it seems both simple, but it also seems incredibly, valuable. But I think that's probably the best solutions. David, I don't know, comments there?
But, obviously, if implemented well, it could be helpful. I'm so negative about contact centers. I just had so many bad experiences. I immediately go to, how could this go badly? But this could go badly no matter how good the software is, and the software looks amazing, if it's implemented by someone who just, doesn't think through all the possible, steps in the guide or when people adhere to the guide too much. I hate that when someone is going by a guide and they're saying, can you unplug the router again? It's like, I told you I just did it. Can you confirm that you did it? But what's the next step in your guide? It's like, I feel like I'm not talking to a person anymore. Put down your guide and talk to me. Listen to the words coming out of my mouth. Oh my God, I'm losing my mind. We've all had these experiences where someone is following a bad script. So until AI gets to the point that they could write the scripts for us, which is going to be very, very soon, scarily, these guides are only as good as the people that are creating them.
Okay, so David is not a fan of step-by-step guides. How about Chuck? How about you?
Well, I'll take a little bit of a different tack here. I would agree with David that this stuff still needs a lot of work and refining, and that's where we come in, quite frankly. But conceptually, I like the fact that they're paying attention to the agent side of the equation. All you hear at these conferences is CX, 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 right. CX. That's great. But I think we've spent too little time understanding how good AX will improve CX in terms of less churn, less training, shorter handle time, meaning it will drive CX. So I'm glad to see it's talk at this point. Proof is in the pudding, But I'm glad to see they're devoting time and energy to improving that side of the equation.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine like starting your first day as an agent. I mean, having these step-by-step guides must make it a lot less stressful when that first call comes in, right? So I think the next clip is really just like kind of a proof point where, Amazon Connect is getting, some other analyst recognition. So why don't you roll that clip?
I'm humbled to say that Forrester recognized us as a leader in their 2023 CCaaS wave. In addition, we were recognized as a leader by Gartner Peer Insights, Voice of the Customer.
So thoughts on, I mean, it's obviously good to get this recognition. I think, Amazon Connect has, since it was announced, I mean, it's certainly proven itself.
But if as an example of what even Jim was referring to earlier on, in 2020, AWS was only in the contenders category. So they've made very good progress, according to Forrester. They've made very good progress in a very short period of time. So everybody likes to tout where they are, but they've shown fantastic progress up that evaluation stack.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, let's go to the next clip because I think they're talking about some of their ability to, support all the digital communication channels.
When it comes to digital-first communications, it goes well beyond what a contact center handles sometimes. Sometimes you may want to send proactive inquiries to your customer about an order status or loyalty promotion emails. Or if your flight is canceled, the rental car company somehow knows to be able to text you to say that your car's still there. Don't worry, everything's taken care of. These things matter. They matter because your customers know that you're paying attention, and because they know that you're paying attention, that increases loyalty. Now, when you think about customer communications, you think about 3 or 4 things. Who you want to communicate to, and when do you want to communicate with them? There's also the aspect of what the communication needs to comprise of. But a thing that tends to sometimes get ignored is the specific channel that you're using to communicate. And not all channels are created equal, and channels vary based on the type of communication. One of the things that the AWS services have is this suite of communication services that offers a variety of different channels to be able to pick the right channel for the right customer at the right time.
So now here, Dilip is transitioning into some of their services they can build into your own applications or customize. I love this technology, and I love that they support all these channels. I, often think about, however, that you need to have, your application knowing to send out these, whether it's the right. And I don't know about you, but I typically get your flight is delayed 10 minutes, it's delayed 20 minutes, it's delayed, and now it's canceled. And I don't get my rental car company saying, don't worry, everything's okay. But so tremendous capabilities. I still think there's a lot of work that organizations, need to do to trigger the appropriate communication at the right time. I don't know. What are all of your experiences?
Well, I think clearly the world is doing this wrong, and I'm glad that a heavyweight like Amazon is paying attention to this and saying it needs to be fixed. Because like you're saying, I don't get the messages I want the way I want them all the time. Sometimes I get, this email should have been an IM. This IM should have been a text. This text should have been an email. We're not doing it right. We're not doing it right personally or business, but particularly business. And the small businesses, they're too busy doing their business to figure this out, to do it right. We need Amazon. We need the communications companies to come in and figure this out for us. So I'm glad that they're paying attention to it, because I don't have the answers.
I think one of the things that is important in this message that he gave here is that Amazon actually has got depth in all these different communications channels. Right. And some people have a little bit of depth in one or another, but not as many. And, quite frankly, when we look at contact centers of the future, that's the future, is this multimodal capability to deliver information the way people want to consume it, and being able to deliver and plan on doing it that way. And I think that they're in a very unique position amongst their competitors in that regard.
Well, that's, I think they made an announcement of, they call it call analytics, but it's more than that. So why don't you run the clip and then we'll talk about that.
I'm pleased to announce that we're launching a feature today called Amazon Chime SDK Call Analytics, which allows companies to be able to record transcribe, as well as get real-time call insights on all your voice calls. In addition to speaker, it does speaker search, voice tone analysis, and there's a lot of features that what normally would have taken companies months to build can now happen in just a few lines of code.
Yeah, so I thought these are super powerful capabilities. You can add them to your applications easily or enable them in Amazon Connect. I was surprised that they called it call analytics because it was also the call recording and transcription piece, but you need to record it and transcribe it in order to do a lot of the sentiment analysis. How have you seen, what did you think about this, or how have you seen organizations, successfully use this technology? And let's start with you, Chuck.
Well, the technology's been around for years, analytics. I think what I'm hearing from Amazon is it's sort of analytics on steroids, that we can do it really well, really fast. So we've been hearing about all this stuff for years, but to really move the needle, you're probably going to need a little bit more brain power and horsepower, and hopefully that's what Amazon is going to help push that forward in that way.
JR, does that make sense to you?
Absolutely, because we've seen analytics before, but the hope is that the power that AWS brings behind it, especially with all of the machine learning, that we will have a better experience. I mean, we've had translation technology for a while, and it always underperforms the promises, right? The real world experience around the translation leaves a lot to be desired at times. So hopefully AWS with their back end and the machine learning can really enhance this process, because as Chuck mentioned, it's been around for a while, but it needs to get better.
Yeah, I think it needs to get better, and I think to the collective kind of comments, it needs to be implemented in the right way. And speaking of, let's roll the next clip, because here Dilip really leans into the application services part and just integrations with a whole bunch of different vendors. So roll that clip, David.
Most solutions today require you or prefer that you rip out all of your existing investments and replace it with something new. But we think that there's a better way. We think of this that you should be able to use the investments that you have made over the years, and you should be able to mix and match a combination of services that we have with services of your partners and your other data sources so that you can create the experience that you want with the ROI that you deserve. We recognize that the IT infrastructure is large and complex, and we don't fight it. One of the things that we do is that we have over 175 partners on almost every facet of the technology stack that allows us to be able to do this mix and match approach that we've been sort of advocating for. That way you can bring some portions of a solution that you exist, and you can mix and match it with the other kinds of things based on a combination of services that we have versus services that our partners provide.
Yeah, so here very much is the kind of the composable enterprise and integrations with, I think Phil said, 175 different vendors. So this really gives you the ability to plug and play and add these capabilities, the broad set of AWS capabilities to your applications. I mean, Jim, you've got kind of the out of the box versus the build or extend your own applications. I mean, Amazon is strong in both of these areas. What do you think about kind of what Dilip was saying here?
Well, I kind of go back to a comment that JR made earlier. They're really good at the very, very large contact center, doesn't scale down quite as well. And if you look at what large enterprises look for, they have the resources to be able to have best of breed solutions. And having the ability to integrate with all those different solutions out there, the other partners, really makes it easy. So it's a much easier solution than, and Dilip was absolutely right. A lot of companies go in and say, well, to really take advantage of what we have, you have to get rid of all your other stuff and you only use our stuff.
Right.
That's not realistic for big companies. And so it also works against their business model of getting in the door and just evolving what their services and capabilities are over time. So I think he's absolutely right on, because at the end of the day, it's communications integrated to optimize business processes, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go. Oh, Chuck, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I do. Thank you. I get a kick out of when organizations can do everything. They tout, we can do everything under one roof, under one skin. When they can't, they tout our ability to integrate and cooperate with anybody. So I kind of get a kick out of the movable pitch. And I completely agree with JR and Jim that as a large organization, best of breed works well. You've got the resources to manage all that stuff. But when you're small, there's so many things that can break. Vendor A just upgraded its software. Vendor B can't, it just broke that. So many things. So it's a double-edged sword. And the smaller you get, the bigger a challenge it is. But on the larger side, absolutely.
One quick thing I caught. Oh,
yeah, good point. Go, David.
One quick thing I caught in that video. Did you catch where it said really quick about how they're going to fix it so when you give your information to an agent and they switch you to another agent, you don't have to give your information again? They're just fixing that now. It's 2023. This is why I'm like this, okay? Because we've all been complaining about this, and this has been fixable. We've had the technology to fix this for well over a decade, and we're fixing it now.
Yeah, but I'm going to say, David, that this is where technology, the capability doesn't mean it's implemented well, right? It's like chatbots or AI chatbots. You still can create, smart people can do dumb things. So artificial intelligence can also be artificially stupid. And unfortunately, I think the capabilities that, this isn't on Amazon. Amazon is saying, hey, here's all these wonderful capabilities. You can still screw it up in all kinds of unique ways. And I think that many contact centers have found unique ways to not provide, great experiences. But let's go to the last clip where I think, Dilip kind of wraps things up, and then we'll get kind of a wrap up from all of the BCStrategies experts.
When I think about our out-of-the-box contact center, our suite of communication services, as well as a host of new services that we announced at AWS Clean Rooms and Identity Resolution, I feel that the cusp, or we're at the cusp of like completely transforming the customer experience to be able to bring insights by looking at this collective data. That is what excites me, and I think that we're going to be seeing a lot more invention in this space in the coming years. Thank you for joining us today. And if you haven't been, please go visit the AWS booth. There's a lot more detail about a lot of these services. Thanks for your time again.
So I'll start and then we'll go around. So I thought that was a good keynote. It was a combination between vision and showed off some stuff. So that's kind of what I look for. I thought as well. There was Amazon Connect, which is really quick out of the box. You can, set up agents and have them start taking calls, within literally minutes. And then all of the application services, which is more, okay, best of breed or integrating into your applications. So I like that, both of those bases were covered. So, I would say that this was, a well done Enterprise Connect keynote. Maybe David, what is your overall thoughts? We'll start with, go to you now.
Sure. Just despite everything I said, this is a time to be very, very optimistic about contact centers. We have a lot of big players with big resources and track records, smart companies that know software, that know customer service entering the space, not just Amazon, Zoom, Microsoft, getting into the space, and companies that have been in the space, RingCentral, Cisco are doubling down. And with AI just being like, the cherry on the cake, the development is happening so fast, all these things that I think I legitimately get upset about. I really think that there's been vision talk for a long time, but we're seeing it happening now. And I think it is time to be optimistic. I think it is going to start getting a lot better.
Well, I like your optimism, despite your previously poor experiences. Chuck, what did you think overall of the Amazon keynote?
Well, I always like keynotes that last 20 minutes. Everything, I think the more you can condense and be more focused. So I think it was a good keynote. I think he did a good job of sort of positioning Amazon where their strengths are, which is that we talked about it earlier. Take what we've been doing for years, but let's put it on steroids and let's really make it work. They've come a long way quickly. The only one area that I might disagree with his keynote, he talks about a lot of discontent out there. And I would almost echo what David is saying is I see a lot of excitement, a lot of opportunity. My clients are giggling at excitement over being able to embrace technology that can really move the needle. So a little bit of discontent, but I think it's a lot of opportunity, a lot of excitement out there.
A lot of excitement, a lot of giggling. So I don't know, JR, you're giggling. There you go. So what did you think, JR?
Yeah, but I'm laughing at Chuck, not necessarily with my client. I do think that there's, like David said, there's a lot of promise at what we're finally starting to see. And although, so he started his speech with you can get this with not having to start from scratch. So he had that not from scratch phrase, which is great because the customized features of AWS are wonderful, but to actually implement them still takes today internal application developers and support teams and everything else, which was why we're talking about it, pushes to the larger firms. And even Forrester, in their comments on AWS's position, said contact centers willing to invest in development resources will get good results. So what I'm looking forward in the future, some future keynote, will be how they continue to scale this down so those same capabilities and functionality and the power of AWS and machine learning is available to a smaller contact center, because our clients, many of our clients, don't have big enough contact centers to have their own development resources, but they're asking for the same capabilities.
Right. Okay. No, that's great. A great point and great insight. And Jim, kind of the final word on the keynote overall.
When I go to these keynotes, I'm thinking about what is the big picture. And to me, if you think about the big picture in the contact center business and in our industry, it's all about cloud. So then if you start saying, okay, if cloud is where everything is going to go, who's really got the best cloud solutions? And then you say, okay, who are the big cloud providers? It's Amazon, it's Google, it's Microsoft. And you start looking at, so who's the competition here? You would say that Amazon is in an unusually good position because their competition hasn't really shown anything yet. You've got, one of their competitors partnering with someone else, one of them trying to develop something internally. Neither one of them are big competitors yet. So I think that from a big picture standpoint, they are in a unique position. And I also would comment what JR had to say. I think if they can make this kind of a plug and play thing for the lower end of the market, they can be the large contact center vendor out there. They will dominate the market.
Well, fantastic. Thank you to all of the BCStrategies experts. If you're watching this, you can visit BCStrategies.com for more insights and analysis. And until next time, thank you and take care.